Hey, good morning or good afternoon, guys. My name is Abong Eka. I'm the founder of Economics, EKA-NOMICS, which is a leadership sales training company, employee improvement, employee empowerment, as well as Eka Digital Media, which is a digital marketing agency for companies and individuals here in the U.S. for the most part. I'm also a certified professional coach and a certified public accountant, which is akin to a chartered accountant in the UK. Now, I'm a huge fan of foreign networking. Obviously, I haven't been to any of the events, being that I live in the US, but I've been following Brad Burton for a while, and I'm blessed to be part of this group, and I apologize for not being more active in it. But for the first time in a long time, I actually went through the group today, and I saw a live stream video by a creative artist named Samantha James. And this kind of inspired me to, I actually listened to the whole 24 or 25 minutes of her live stream. And I saw the frustration, I understood all the challenges and the struggles, and it kind of inspired me to share some experiences that not only that I've had, but people I've had with conversations I've had with other people, and potentially, give some thoughts as to what many people who are in the creative space can do. One of the two things I do really well in my businesses are pricing strategies and sales and closing and sales, and also digital marketing. Kind of they all go together. But one of the things that she said, one of the struggles that Samantha had mentioned that she had, and Leah, I think, and a whole host of other creative people, is the business side of it. And I think many, unfortunately, think there's a dichotomy between being creative and running the money right. And if you don't run the money right, your ability to be creative kind of dwindles. You got to pay for materials. You got to pay for the time. You got to pay for everything, your expertise. You've built up your expertise over time, and you should be compensated accordingly. So it doesn't, just because you're thinking about the money, doesn't necessarily take away from your creative thoughts, your creative design, your creative results. And I think the mistake that many people make is they think that if you're creative, you got to be poor, or you have to be famous in order for people to buy your work. And that's not necessarily true. There are a lot of people who you've never heard of who are making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars or pounds selling their work and their art, commissioned in a certain area. And I think a lot of the times, and here's a quick suggestion when it comes to commissioned work. Some of the people I've worked with in the past, I've shared with them some ideas for commissioned work. And a former client runs an art gallery. And I said the most important thing is making sure the money makes sense. So if someone commissions work from you, a few suggestions, make sure you can agree upon a price. And that comes from you understanding the materials and the time it'll take to paint whatever it is or create whatever you're creating. And so once you've come to a price and a time frame in which it could be done, put together a contract. Make sure there's a contract that talks about what happens if you don't pay. That's agreed upon. In addition to that, require a deposit, 10%, 20%, whatever percent. And usually it's a 10 to 20%, which will pay for the materials and a little bit of the time that you'll take, and the rest will be pure profit for you once you get paid for the commissioned work. But at least you're not completely out to dry if they decide not to pay you for the commissioned work, and you have recourse. You can take them to court, you can sue them, you can do whatever. I know it's time consuming, but in the same token, people have to be people. Consumers have to be people of their word. So if they agree to buy something, and when you're done commission the work, when you're done with the commissioned work, they can't be saying things like, that's not the price I wanted to pay, which means they had a number in their head that they don't agree with your number. And that's a conversation that has to be had before anything starts, regardless of it. It won't take away from your creative thoughts, your creative abilities. All you're doing is making sure all the ducks are in a row, or T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. That's it. Another thing I want to say is with regards to target market. A lot of people talk about target market, but the problem with a lot of people who are sharing this information with target market and other business parlance is that they're not actually applying it to the person, to the industry, and to what they need the information they actually need. So in your case, target market could be a whole host of things. But what I would think is, it doesn't take away from your ability to have creative work, especially if you're doing commissioned work. So there's certain types of people who will buy commissioned work. Those who appreciate art, and they fall within a certain area. Those who have the income to appreciate art. Those who want to come up with a different gift. So here's an example. Maybe the doctor who wants to buy the commissioned work for his wife, or the parent who wants to buy the commissioned work for his or her son that's about to get married, or they want to memorialize the wedding day, Or when they have their first child, they want to memorialize the childbirth and the pictures they take with children. Or the kid is graduating from high school or college or whatever. They want to memorialize that in the art, in a form of painting. Here's another one. Maybe there's a parent or a grandchild who has a grandparent who's actually at the end of life and they're dying and they're in hospice or whatever care, and they want to have commissioned work to remind them of the time they spent together of their grandparent, both young and old. There's so many reasons why somebody would want commissioned work of another human being, or maybe even a dog. I know somebody here in the Washington, D.C. area who does commissioned pieces, animals. She does animals. And that's, again, to memorialize animals that are about to pass away or too old, too young, whatever else. There's so many things you can identify and then go after. It's not just, people don't buy art off a whim. If they do, it's because they already have the value proposition of what the art's worth in their minds. That's why they do that. They're not buying art because they're walking by and they see a gallery and say, you know what, I need to buy art. If they're buying art, they're already an art connoisseur, right? The same thing with anything else in life. So I always talk about the price myth. That's what I always teach, is that people don't buy because of price, they buy because of value. Whatever a person values, whatever a customer values, is what he or she will pay for, even if it's at their detriment financially. And I'm not saying it's right to approach it that way, but in the same token, that's how human beings behave. There are people who love cars. You know, Brad is a huge fan of Audis, right? He'll buy an Audi, and there are cars that are more expensive and less expensive. A car is not a car. I drive a BMW. When somebody drives a nice car, it's because they see value in that car, not because it's cheap, not because the price was right. Because if the price was really right, they'd buy a cheaper car. They'd buy a Peugeot, or in the UK, or an Opel, or here in the US, they'd buy a Ford or some Nissan, or maybe a Hyundai. They'd buy a cheaper car. They're not buying a car to buy a car. They're buying a car at a particular level because there's something else that's deeper to them that you have to identify. So just a few things I want to share with you today, and everyone else who's in the creative space. You have the ability to run your business, run your art and creative as a business, and actually enjoy it because you're making money. Secondly, last piece I'll share is, a lot of people, it's very hard to have people in your life who support you. You got to understand, your dreams are not theirs. They didn't wake up in the morning thinking about art. They woke up in the morning thinking about their job. That's okay. That's life. I have no problem with that. So it's imperative you find other people who can support you, not only emotionally, mentally, but also verbally. They can share words of wisdom, they can share words of understanding, and actually encourage you to continue going. If you tighten up the other piece of the commission, I guarantee you, you'll feel better once you start doing more commission pieces. Once you identify the people who bought from you before, there's going to be some commonalities between the people who bought from you. And humans are habitual, and humans are there's also a lot of commonality. We're predictably irrational. So everyone's different. I get it. You know, everyone's subjective. But in the same token, if you're doing commission pieces, there are people who may like your commission pieces, especially portraits and the like. And all you need to do is identify who those people are based on similarities from your prior customers and clients. And you have a better chance of finding your future customers and clients. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for watching the whole thing. Thanks. I'm going to be more active in Foreign Network, even though I'm on a different continent. Love the UK. I used to live in South London. I played professional basketball in South London about 18 years ago. I lived in Croydon, and now I live in the US. But all right, thanks guys. Take care.